Welcome, Chrome Dome, D-Man, Fitty, and anybody else listening to the Rebel Against Defeat podcast stream live wackadoodle. It's Monday. Well, it's Tuesday. It feels like a Monday. But I was thinking the government continues to subsidize the behavior of the local national 304. So why? And they know it. Why do they do it? Votes. They do it to entrap the man. Title 4D. Right? Title 4D, if you guys even understand Title 4D, that is a shit show. The government gives money to the coffers of the child support system with what they receive from the man. So the more they receive from the man, the more they receive from the government. Something like that. But geez, can that even be wacko or what? Travis is back. Travis listening. That was Travis's band I just played, called The Transition. Good. You guys need to make some more music, definitely. But anyhow, back to the situation at hand. Why would men want to get in relationships of marriage, cohabitation, and childbearing when the government will subsidize any behavior based on, if I'm not happy, I can just leave and do that and leave the marriage or the house and take the kids with me. Not if you look at it from that perspective, and they continue to do this because they want the votes, they want to literally in the long-term plans, masculinity, I don't think is in their long-term strategy, right? Anyhow, shout out to Mr. E. Good to see you, David Castro. Mysterio from Winnipeg. Government wants to placate to ladies. Or the ladies, so that society can support that party and the power in the city. We have gone away from traditional living after thousands of years of masculinity, raising families with a patriarch and a matriarch and so forth. We have gone away from that. Now the man, as we know, is not considered part of the long-term strategy. That's how I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say anything else. And for the future of the West and potentially the world, unless it's a country, a Muslim country, the man is not part of that strategy. So they will do everything in their power to push out the man and to reward the behavior and subsidize the behavior of the promiscuity culture, of unhappy gals that don't want to be married and don't want the man to be help in rearing of the kids. Now, this isn't Rad's perspective. This is reality. If you are a lady and you divorce, which is 80% of all divorces are filed by women, if you go to the courthouse, unless you have a good attorney, and most men typically cave. I would say 95% of all men will cave. They will give in. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to fight, and they will give up, and they will pay an enormous amount of child support as well as alimony and anything else that they think they should pay. There's guys that pay extra. I know a guy that he's paying $7,000 a month alimony child support. He's got 3 kids. That child support for the 3 kids would probably be about $600 to $700 a kid. And just go figure. Another $5,000 on top of that for alimony, right? It doesn't take $2,100 a month to feed and clothe kids. But anyhow, that is the reality. So they can go, and typically they will get, I would say 80% of 85% will get what they want in their court petition. My story was a little bit different. Very different. Which is worse, cohab, breaking apart, or divorce? I would say they're equally. I think when it comes to marriage and cohab, if you're cohabbing with kids, you're basically married with the paper. But I think men will cling to that relationship fantasy that they're married or a husband and so forth. If you're cohabiting, you're not technically married. You're common law if it's been a few years, and you're not really a husband. You're like the boyfriend. You're like the partner. So I think there's a entitlement of being a certain title and having a relationship that is branded as a higher than a boyfriend girlfriend thing. Brandon Trueblood's back. Good to see him out in San Antonio picking up a load. He's probably out of Texas by now. Good to see you, brother. Listen to Brandon Trueblood's streams every single day. He's streaming. There are so many guys streaming. That's the greatest thing about right now in 2023. We have a lot of guys streaming. We got Rev streaming. We've got Hammerhand streaming. Terrence Pop streams. Polska streaming at midnight till 3 in the morning. Father Saunders, same thing. So appreciate all you do, Brandon. Mysterio, the 3 male co-workers that are going or finish their divorce, I can tell they will never really marry again, no matter what the next woman says to them, or they will take it slow either way. I hope they really learn from it, man. Mysterio, I really hope they learn. Brandon says it's all about demographics. There are more women than men. 50% plus win elections. Get used to your oppression under the system. Couldn't agree more. Just say no and keep taking the jail time. Enough. Do it. It'll stop. Doc. Well, take a look at One Fast Act. One Fast Act said, I ain't paying for this. Put me in for 90 days. And he did nothing wrong. Might have argued with his ex, but, he did nothing wrong in terms of, he wasn't abusive and controlling like I was. Your lawyer for your divorce, would you use him again for anything else? Absolutely. He is a bulldog. And when it comes to court, yes, you should know the jurisdiction or what your discipline is within court. But it's also about how you tell the story. Everything in court is about telling the story. Telling the story of the plaintiff or the respondent or the petitioner or the defendant or what have you. He who tells a better story with facts or without facts wins. You have to convince a jury that this person had a better story than the other person. And that is obviously includes facts and evidence and things like that. But yeah, he was a good dude. I still haven't, but he's made a shit ton of money. I don't think he's practicing anymore. I still haven't seen my kids since December, still held up between lawyers. Should come to an agreement soon. So in the middle of it, she's now trying to sue my business for 10 grand. No surprise, my brother, and just hang in there. All I can tell you is be patient. And know that you got a group of guys that are pulling for you. It destroyed my heart the night I moved out and had to live or sleep in a nice apartment. I wasn't going to go buy a house until we settled everything. I mean, that was a smart move. And I cried myself to sleep with a festive beverage. That helped a little. But I know exactly what that is. I know exactly. And she's just doing it. And what they do is they do that to put you, to hurt you. It's as simple as that. So be patient, whatever you do. And keep your nose clean. D-Man, government promotes thottery, no man to finance the household, double tax revs, but temporarily. Absolutely. Who's going to finance the agenda? Men, typically. Guys that have been shoved out of their houses. Guys that have been alienated from their children. I took my ex-wife to full trial. The outcome is predetermined whether you fight or agree. Correct. Just know if you fight, you become an enemy of the court. 100%. Guys, it's all who you know, Mr. E. That is why I got the biggest and baddest, most expensive lawyer I could find, and it worked in my favor. Now, did it work? I would say it did not work in my favor. It gave me what I sought, which was 50-50 of everything, which is fair. Mom and dad should have 50-50, 50-50 custody. They have a mom and they have a dad, and split everything down the middle. It's a business transaction. Split all the accounts, split the real estate, and so forth. It's when a lot of times it'll flip in the side of a woman, and they'll go after more, typically more custody. They want more money and things like that. But for the most part, I just wanted what was fair. So I could raise the kids that I had for the remainder of their youth till they turned 18, as she did. And you know what? We raised them well. I just saw my son's report card today. His cumulative GPA for all high school and junior high is 3.71. And when I moved out, I'm just thinking, let's just get them graduated. If they got D pluses and C minuses, great. Nope. Hopefully they don't get pregnant or they're in rehab. And my daughter had a 3.8 cumulative as a cheerleader. And my second had a 3.6, but he had 10 AP classes, massively smart kid. I don't think he opened a book once. That's how smart he was. Flex in here, and then my youngest. So I'm lucky. There's a lot of young men and young women that go through a divorced family that, school is very challenging because they're hurt. Their hearts are broken. And they get into different groups because mom and dad, there's no dad in the house potentially, or they're going back and forth. There's a rebellion that happens. So I would have to say kudos to my co-parent and me for making sure that our kids got through it. So anyhow, but that doesn't happen. I'm probably very rare in that regards. But no, I did not want to go through a divorce. What the divorce has done to my kids will continually play out in their lives. It is the most selfish thing you can do to a kid. Now, are some divorces warranted? Absolutely. Serial cheating, infidelity, drug abuse on either part, gambling, squandering the finances, not working, living in filth and poverty. I get it. But for the majority of men, it doesn't go that route. RP's in the house. Good to see you. To your ears, what sounds better, having a girlfriend or a partner? A partner sounds disposable. I think the best relationship that if you got to a point, again, no marriage, no cohabitation, no kids, no taking care of other kids or other people's kids. You have two separate houses. I like the Jonathan Noble idea. If you want to go that route, she has a career, you have a career, you have your place, she has her place. There's no sorts of resource extractions. You're not paying for any other. So if you want to hang out, then you hang out with no strings attached. I think when you move in with someone, it's always lopsided. Typically, the man will pay the majority of it. So then there's strings attached. So I like the Jonathan Noble way. You have to decide what you want. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. If you want to be a monk, that's fine. If you want to go 6 weeks or less, that's fine. You seem pumped and energized for having to reband. I think I'm just getting to the point where, I was talking to Brandon Trueblood about this. I think I had 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers. How many were real? If I go after all of my OGs that come and participate, it was usually the same 50, 60 guys, which is great. I don't want a big audience. I really don't. I'm here to help guys from the experiences I've been through and from the guys that helped me. And hopefully you guys help others. Invaluable information and experience from Mysterios, the Truebloods, the Travises, the Dax, the Father Saunders, the John Boston, the Ishies, D-Mans, everything that we can think of, Chrome Domes, Mr. E, RP Anomaly. I'm missing somebody, but you guys get the hint. We share with others how to have a good life. That is my whole deal. I do not want any money or monetization, any of that crap. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't have a problem with people that donate, and I think that's great. I've had guys reach out. I had a guy send me a gift certificate to a mountain bike. Really nice gesture. And what I would rather see is men use that money to improve their lives. That's the greatest benefit ever. Doc, I'm not your fake courts documents, all caps name. I said I don't give a flying Franklin about those kids and got off. They had nothing to hold against me. Gotcha. Well, you might be one of the lucky ones, Doc. Where are you from? I say this respectfully. The Book of Solomon, his wife turned his heart from the Lord, not his concubine. Interesting. Good to have you, Brian Renard Davis, in the house. Thanks for sharing that. Listen to this on Treadmill Live from Burbank. Thanks, Rad. This is a full workout, mental and body. Good for you, man. Down in Burbank. I like flying in the Burbank airport. I would stay at the Marriott right across there. In fact, the last time I was there, I took my son to a Dodgers game on Father's Day. And it was like 4 years ago, 2019? 2019. Know exactly where you're at. Burbank, Bob Hope Airport, Ishii Banks. Do you think your kids saw the divorce come? Yes, because she told both of my kids. I mean, she was chatting with my daughter and strategizing with my daughter, I think. At least she told me she told my daughter the first person like a week before it happened. I mean, like, come on, 16-year-old girl. So the sides, you know, in a marriage going through divorce, the sides happen. They're going to the kids will pick sides, unfortunately. You don't want them to, but they typically do. Travis, in my experience, the parent who fought the hardest succeeds in the end. You may feel like you are losing it and it'll be an uphill battle, but never give up. Well said, D-Man. It took me 29 months and thousands of hours and dollars and anxiety. You know what the worst part of it? And I was lucky to have the money I had to do that, to at least defend myself in a way. And if I lost it all, I would know that I can hold my head high. The worst part of going through divorce is the anxiety. I remember at Friday, my attorney would shut down at noon on Friday. And if I didn't hear from him Friday, I had this huge relief come over me, like, oh, I'm not going to get an email that says I did something wrong, or, you know, some motion was filed. And then Sunday night, the anxiety would come back. What's going to happen Monday morning? And that's how it went. That is the greatest challenge that I had. Second would be not seeing my kids, the impact of my kids. I think money was the very end. You know, who wants to spend money defending what should be, you know, apparently fair? But we do. We do. That's how our court system's set up. Well said, D-Man and Travis. Do you not save money? Do not save money in your bank accounts if you're paying a lump sum child support every month, because they will empty your bank accounts. David Castro, there's a lot of guys that have gone through that. I had a friend that he gave his lady, he paid her $3,000 on Venmo. That was his child support. He has 6 kids. And you follow the decree of divorce. My decree said you write 2 checks a month for half. So if you pay $1,000, you pay $500. If you owe $200, you pay $100 every 2 weeks. And you write the checks. You do not do bulk payments. Anyhow, he did a bulk payment. I think he did it was like, maybe it was $1,500 a month. He did 2 months in advance. She came back and told the court that was actually, he owed me that money because from an anniversary present. He had to repay all that money. And I told him, don't do that. Do not ever, ever prepay. Follow the decree. Number one, you have a paper trail. And if there's an audit, you can show them that you paid it. Anything outside of the figures that are in your decree of divorce would be considered, you know, household improvements or something stupid like that. It happens all the time. Yes, D-Man, the kids are put through a shameful struggle. Yeah, you know what? There's a light out in each of their house for the rest of their life. I didn't grow up in a divorced family, unfortunately. Fortunately, I don't know what it's like. I know what it's like to see them go back and forth. My heart breaks. You know, it broke. Jawara, what's up, brother? I told Rev, you can reach out to me anytime. Good to see Jawara. Thank you, Rev, but I've not had as hard a life as some of those other gens. I'm just tormented by the truth of it all, Chrome Dome. Well, physically, mentally, or emotionally, it's all a big torment, right? I mean, even guys that want to have a marriage and they want to find a woman to settle down and raise children and posterity and build something. Men like to build. We build families. We build structure, only for it to be torn down and subsidized by the G-Men. If there's anybody in this chat or anybody that watches it now or in the future, and if you have any desire to go to court, or excuse me, to get married, go sit. And if you don't understand divorce and marriage, go sit in the They're called temporary orders that happen in every courthouse, county courthouses in the U.S. You can go watch temporary orders. That's the beginning. That's when paperwork has been filed, and now they go in front of the judge or the commissioner, and the commissioner or judge will say, all right, it's basically 95% of the divorce happens at the temporary orders. He'll decide what the parenting arrangement's going to be. He'll decide what the child support will be. And then from there, it's just splitting up assets. Most people go to, and then, whatever. But hang in there, Chrome. Joara. Well, you're in the ballpark, my brother. I always said enough to buy a brand new Porsche. Radical Rafter. I found you through Gone with John. Shout out. Keep it up. All right, brother. Good to have you. Tell me where you're located. And shout out to Gone with John. Good guy. I like some of his stuff. Or, he did a Tom Likas video the other day, and I was listening to Likas the other day. But good to have you. Absolutely. Good to have you, Radical Rafter. Sup, boyos? I'm installing my compost toilet, Cultimus Maximus. Inside a house, in a cabin. Where are you doing that, brother? Minimalism at its best. So where are your kids going to live now when they're basically all over? 18 is the youngest Rad. He's going to college, so he'll be at a college, living in the dorms. My middle one is moving out of state. My oldest moved out of state as well. So the older two are basically, they're off living. They've, at 22 and 24, they're living their life. And then the youngest is obviously going to college, and he'll be living in the dorms. And then he'll probably be living up there for the next 4 years because his degree will allow him to work in the summer. So I'll probably see him at Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I'm apparently ready to make the next chapter in my life happen. Having some guacamole and some beach times. I told the Rev about a stolen car that crashed in my park classic that only had liability. Driver ran off after crash. Oh, geez, sorry to hear that, brother. Hang in there. Hang in there, Joara. You got to hang in there. Gone with John is in the house. Good to see you, brother. He's all right. Okay, we allow him part of the wolf pack. Gone with John. Shout out to Gone with John's channel. Polska is back. Polska doing some late night live streams, listening to Bandmade. And Loudness from Japan for 300, Trebek. Must be hard with them out of state. Well, the older two, it's interesting. I think I'm more attached emotionally to the youngest. That's a little bit challenging for me right now, knowing that my days have come to an end of being a parent of a minor. Now I'm a parent of an adult. So think about that for a second. But, when I was 17, I left the coop, and I was excited. I paid for everything. I did everything myself. I moved out of state, went to college, and there's part of me that, wants to kind of still hold on to him just because he's my boy. But, he's 6'3". He's got a chiseled jaw. He's got ladies after him. He wants to be in the aviation industry. He's going to be all right. So the older two, my middle boy and I, we get along. We chat. We've got a better relationship now than it's ever been in the last 2 years. My daughter and I think I saw her at the graduation, and gave me a hug. And I gave her a hug, and she's definitely been more parented by her mother than her dad. But hopefully that'll work itself out down the road. But it is what it is. Tiny house conversion. Used a car. Well, good for you. I want to see pictures when you're done. I want to see pictures. Polska says, I'm just wrapping up my birthday. The D Winter kids are graduating. I got to do graduation ceremony. There you go. Man, graduation was like 5,000 people. What a nut job. Enclosed car hauler trailer conversion to tiny house. Ooh. Where are you going to put it? You going to put it on property, or what are you going to do? He's 6'3". Yes. Good looking boy. He went to the dances. All the girls that asked him to the Girls Ask Guy dances in his high school year. Man, very, very attractive gals. And he's kind of hanging out with a gal here that's quite attractive herself as well. They went to prom and they look like a homecoming couple. But I've tried to warn him. When you're 18 and they're 18, things happen. But this gal that he's hanging out with, she's very natural looking. She doesn't wear any of that crap. She doesn't go by weird, the P nouns. So comes from a good family, or parents are married. So we'll see. Do we tell boys not? Here's the thing. I think it's good. I think if you have the right guidance and understand, boys need to understand what it's like to date. And a lot of them don't date. And if they understand, they'll have a better idea of what it's like. There's guys that have never gone on dates, never kissed girls in these chats, never had intimate relations with women. They don't understand any of it. And I would rather somebody go through it and, obviously not get married, not cohabitate, not have children, but understand the dynamics so that they understand, they have a point of reference. Do I push that? No. But come on. My boys are under 22 and they have raging hormones. You got to be a realist, but you got to steer them when they get off path, right? Comedian Earthquake paid child support in bulk. Women misspent it, had to go back to court. Happens all the time. I had a buddy, and his dad sold a company back in the early 90s for like 300 mil. So each of the kids is, like $30-40 million trust fund, and later when the dad dies or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to prepay my child support. I go, you're an idiot if you do that. That's the dumbest thing, right? First of all, what happens if, say, your baby mama passes away and you've prepaid 3 years of support? You're never getting that money back. Follow the court decree. I can't stress this enough. Follow what it says, because that is the source of truth. Polska, I got a wrench. I'm going to have to do that later. I have not done any wrenches. I will put all the same wrenches back on. I put on my land a couple acres. Oh, right on, brother. What part of the country? Although I had romantic prospects and a girlfriend here and there in high school, I'm so glad I had my male friends and beyond. Less chicks in high school was a blessing. I had a couple girlfriends in high school. One in particular, we spent almost 2 years, broke up once, and that was the first red pill. There's hypergamy. She was a junior and I was a senior. She hypergamied and went to another guy, and then she came back and when I was a senior, and we, I didn't know at the time, don't take your ex back, but it worked out. Yeah, congrats to Coltimus there. With the kids out of high school, will your interaction with your ex? Yes. Absolutely, 100%. Which is great, because when he's an adult, he's going to be an adult within the next few weeks, and no longer a minor, which means he'll turn 18. No longer attached to any sort of government monitoring system of a family that's broken. How about that? Iron Wolf says, never prepay. They always ask for more. Well said. Here's another tip. If there's a dental or medical bill or a school education bill, maybe you have to pay some lunch money. You say, look, I'm going to pay half. If the dentist manager calls and it's $100 bill for a cavity, you say, here's my $50. Take my credit card, and here's the $50. And then I will tell her that she can call with the credit card. Don't do any of that reimbursement crap. Get them to use or show up at the same time. Here's my card for 50, do hers for 50. Slam Cave is back. Check out Slam's channel. I'm going to take my son to family when he's 17 and 18 to see what could happen. Said. So that's the deal. I mean, literally, the agenda is not to include strong men. And that's why there's such a push. That's why these channels are becoming forgotten or canceled, because there is certain information that the weak culture of our world does not want let out of the bag. Simple as that. And I have to watch different words and how I say certain things, right? It's funny. It's like I did an appeal for the channel. It's like I'm trying. My intent was always to follow guidelines. My intent was to help men, and that just falls on deaf ears, right? So I got to watch what I say. So if there's some comments I don't read, it's because I've got to be very conscious. Hey, John Boston, the legendary John Boston. I saw that video you sent me. That's funny. All good. I just went live for the hell of it. Oh, you meant court. There you go. Well, Slam is in a unique situation because he's the sole guardian of his son because his baby mama passed away. So you're never going to have to deal with child support issues or alimony or back and forths, but you still have a heavy burden, absolutely, of raising your son. Check out Slam's channel. He does some videos with his boy and making some. I think the last thing I saw was Sloppy Joes, which looked delicious. Seeing that your rad channel is tanked, can you now see that that could happen again? And can I outsource it? Well, funny you say that. You could, but there's a lot of trolls out there that are literally banding together and they're canceling channels just by sending in fake, fake, is this appropriate or not content. I guarantee that's what happened to mine. Within 4 weeks, I had 3 strikes. How does that happen on videos that were 2+ years old? Timmy Kramer, 2000. Forever Bachelor at the dog park in the morning. Every single man there was divorced but myself. I'm very vocal and talk to men. I hope they're listening. I hope they listen to Timmy. My mantra since 2009 could have been stuck. Something. D. Swecker, good to see you. Tell me where you're from. Helping men gets you banned. Is that not the truth? Is that not the truth? And it doesn't matter. It's an algorithm. And then, I've appealed a couple of videos in the past, but within 10 minutes, they deny it. It's all algorithm. Guys that are talking about these certain points, I don't know how Joker gets around it because he's throwing articles up. He's displaying 304 behavior. Who knows? Go to every district and probate court and just sit and see who the courts are being favored. Well, that's really good research. In the Boy Scouts, we had to do the citizenship in the community. We had to go to courts and listen and watch. But for guys that are thinking about marriage, go to a temporary orders court. It's public. You can go. As a father, structure could have been better in certain ways. Great. Well, obviously, I would know. I don't give me 6 out of 10 for each. How about that? 6 out of 10. Every car dealer pushing 7-year loans on new vehicles so may get a used vehicle cash like the Rev. Go buy a Toyota or something. But yeah, get a used one. Iron Wolf says you're mild compared to a lot of other channels. It was BS that you got banned. Appreciate the support, brother. That happens. You know what? I knew eventually something would happen. I mean, how interesting 3 strikes in 3.5 weeks or 4 weeks. Do you think some of your subs were fake? Yes, I think there was a lot of bots, Mr. Because it would be weird. If there's 7,000 and there's like 60 people in the chats, usually there's 40 to 60. Didn't make sense. Yep, you're absolutely right, brother. I wonder why, Jawara. Why do you think they're not having problems? D-Man says, never been so free, brother. Great to hear you're living on your terms now. I had a buddy tell me to go buy land, and I'm like, well, land is great, but it's landlocks me. Why not have a mobile Rev mobile? So I can, skip town anytime, SHTF. Heading home, it's hot. It's a hot one. We got about 80 degrees out here. I've seen baby mama blank in court chasing support for blank kids, and 3 dad judge was confused to which child was in court. And how is that not surprising? That seems literally a staple in family court today. I can't imagine. Can you imagine being a family court judge and you deal with this crap every day? What's your take on MLD? No. Again, I don't really watch any of those guys, and I'll tell you why. None of them have been married. They don't have kids. They've never been through a divorce court. And they're pushing an agenda for men to buy their courses when the whole landscape is changed. Even Corey Wayne has some decent advice. But dating women today, they're reading the books to oppose what these guys are selling in their courses. I tell guys, if you want to learn about women, go listen to Tom Likas. He's 100% true. Sorry to the women listening. Well, I'm not sorry, but that is the truth. Women do not like nice guys. What's up, Megatron? Good to see you. Pacific NW area. I told my nephews that before they marry, spend one day on Reddit's. Oh, there you go. Divorced men and one afternoon in the local family court. That's got to be the most. That right there is $1 million plus advice. I'm from Beaverton, Oregon, D. Swecker. Grew up there for 41 years. Moved here 10 years ago. Lanny X2. Yeah, I think me and Hammer will probably do. We did one a year and a half ago. Now, last April. And it was on his channel. And it had like 15 or 20,000 views. I thought it was great. It was good content. And then his channel got banned. And I think it might be on one of his backups, Lanny. Tell me where you're from. School system in America, 85% female teachers. The boys barely get a chance. Womanist-minded teachers. With purple and pink hair. Purple and pink hair. Don't get me started on all the Skittles. Yeah, well, the thing about Hammer now is he's going to do this first hour of live, very mild, basic, and then he's going to rumble. To throw the hammer down. Man, it's 24/7 cuffing season. Rents are going sky high. And D's 304s want someone to pay their rent. Don't get me going on a 55-year-old simps marrying. I have seen the pictures that John Boston sends me, and they are actually worse than he describes them, especially his doctor friend. Megatron 384, you're absolutely right, brother. Jawara, 200 may go to 300. Well, tell me how it's going. I mean, I'm doing Tomcat Ali, 400 the Solo Ray brand. It's on Amazon. 3 months, $25 with DHEA in the evening, and milk thistle, and maca. Something else. And if I could just, and then fasting. But I put on a few LBs just because, now summer's happening. I rode my bike today, 3.5 miles up, 3.5 down, getting my legs built up. I'm going to be a lean machine drinking gasoline. Massachusetts family courts are legal extortion courts. They educate women on how to exploit the system. Attorneys go to training on how to get women to sign this paper to engage. What do they call that? The Duluth model. There is an agenda, and this agenda did not start 10 years ago. Did not start in 1969 when Reagan signed no-fault divorce. It started literally probably 120 years ago. Appreciate that comment, Mr. John Boston. I'm a Wolverine from the Wolverine State. Been in Detroit, but I would love to go Upper Michigan. I heard it's beautiful. Polska, you're on the train? Are you out by Chinatown? And where is Cowboy Ben? He's driving trucks like Brandon Trueblood. The one and only, welcome, Hammerhand. I think this might be the first time you've been on the stream. Shout out. I want to see some of those pictures from the Indy 500. I don't know if you do NASCAR. I think you do NASCAR. But my sister, talked to my sister last night, and she bought tickets for her boyfriend. He just broke up with her, go figure, to the Austin Formula One racing event. And she wants to sell some tickets. She's on turn 19. Row 19, I think. And I think the Sunday day, I think she spent $800 for 3 days, 2 tickets, 1,600. So I don't know what we should do, how to sell them. Yeah, Hammer's doing the first hour pretty chill. I just watched the last one he did with Undead Chronic, the Tater Tots. That was funny. Hammerhand. Reagan signed in 87. I thought it was 69. Maybe I'm mistaken. Okay. Good to know that. I would say Hammer's right on because that guy is a full wealth of knowledge. Mr. E says modern feminism has roots with Susan B. Anthony. Well, she definitely has a place in history. Is it the right place? Oh, gotcha. No NASCAR, just open wheel. Cool. Yeah, I want to see some of those pictures. I don't know where you post them, but I do like racing. You know what I like about racing is the pits and how fast those guys can throw off tires and gas it up and everything. I mean, within seconds. It's just amazing. I would say they're expensive. I hope she can make some money off them. You never know. Shout out to Hammer's channel. Let's get him back to 30,000. Open wheel is bad ace. Yeah, those guys are hardcore. They don't have roll cages, do they? D. Swecker, Rat's back. I appreciate all the shout outs to everybody when my channel went down. Dax and the Hammers, Gone with Johns, FJT, and appreciate that. That's what we're here for. Helping men succeed, helping men become better. What my experience has been, being married, going through the courts, dealing with child support, hopefully helps other guys to not make the same mistake. Travis says, I've been hopping on the bike every morning for a week right after my coffee. Feels great. Move it. If a woman has a child, late needs attorneys, they did IVF are a hormonal mess. Yes, it's in the legal journals that IVF and twins and triplets are target. I also heard that the pill that was invented to stop unwanted births also has issues with causing the mental brain of the ladies to turn Skittles. Does anybody have any information on that? No fault first state was California in 69 and Reagan was the governor, says Mr. E. What does Hammer say? Reagan was a Democrat back in 67. He started flirting with Jumoing on the Republican side before he became governor. Interesting to know. Interesting. Well, we know that he signed the first no-fault divorce. It started in California, and from there it went crazy Skittles. And now everybody does it, right? And then, from the 50s. It's been, well, actually not from the 50s. It got really huge in the early 70s, and from there it's just skyrocketed. Thank you. Thank you, government, breaking families up. Appreciate it. Found an open patch of land, muddy it up, and go demo derby minus the sponsors. There you go. Shout out to Hammer. Appreciate you being here. This is where real, authentic creators come. None of these grifters. No fault was a major downfall. Incentivizing destroying men. Well, it's a part of the agenda. You want to go down that? You want to go down the rabbit hole? Well, you check out Hammer's channel. Check out who else has a really deep channel to go down. Big John was huge. Talked a lot about a lot of the history, and you can still see him on MGTOW TV, MGTOW Mirror Project, and so forth. Is Hammer going live tonight? Have you ever gotten your bike stolen? No. I got my skateboard stolen. I was pissed about that in 1986. It was Eric Dressen with slime balls and independent trucks. Was in Austin for MotoGP, great racing, especially in the lower classes. You almost witnessed the death of oval racing last Sunday, a hub and fire. Yes, I saw that article. A tire departed a car and sailed past a packed grandstand. Jeez. Didn't somebody get killed back in like the early 90s or late 80s from a wayward tire? I'm pretty sure something happened there. The arming of family court against men came in 72 with President Nixon and the first Title IV reform. See, we got some historians here. This shit's been around for 50 years. Can't run a society on feelings. Feelings for facts over feelings for 300 Trebek. Why don't men who are married want to break it up over the women? I think men are addicted, not addicted, they believe the fantasy of marriage. Just the title of being married is a fantasy. So that having that relationship fantasy, regardless of the woman or how the marriage is, it's a clinging. They like to cling to it. Even being clung to as a husband. Talking to your coworkers around the water cooler, bitching about your wife, but you're still a husband. There's a fantasy of having that title, or having that being distinguished as a husband, or being part of a marriage. And I think a lot of guys don't want to give that up, regardless of the circumstances, and not losing half their shit or majority of their shit and all that crap. And the stigma that comes from being a divorced man. No politician has had your interest in mind since the early 1800s. GUB-M-ENT destroyer. Tell me where you're from, brother. I'm not arguing with that standpoint. Shit's been going down for 180 years. Gonna be a beer garden tonight. I got 2 tickets to paradise. Pack your bags and we'll leave tonight. Rolla states that men will want out of marriage if the woman turns to drugs over infidelity. And those drugs don't have to be illegal drugs, guys. Those drugs do not have to be illegal. I have firsthand experience of what an SSRI will do to a marriage. The MGTOW solution, Timmy Kramer. Reagan regretted signing the no-fault divorce. Yes, he did. Attorneys know people are not getting married, so let's get the Skittles people married and legalize it so the parasites have more to... There we go. Yes, well said. Starducks, another good dude. TFM, Spitsnax, Paul Proteus, Barbarossa. You were talking the other day on your stream about some of the old OGs that really laid it down 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. But yeah, there's good content. I mean, MGTOW Mirror Project's got all that shit. I think your videos, Hammer, are you've backed them up on Rumble and MGTOW Odyssey, I think. I want to go check out some of those that you did that got banned from YouTube. Mouth of Gapes in the house. 87 Lyle Kurtenbach. Was that the tire that went nuts? I don't know. I don't know as much as I know more about NASCAR than I know about open steering wheel. Facts win over feelings because feelings are weak. Damn right. The Disney's princess shit didn't just target women. It also trained men to court them in that way. 100%. The princess destiny syndrome has moved into the masculine realm as well. And the simps are only just showing us exactly that. Well said. So marriage for a man is like being knighted by society in a fantasy mindset by modern society. Sure. Sure. A friend of mine who married that 300-pounder is taking her out for dinner. They just got back from a cruise. She's over 300. I need you to send an updated pic. I did not take any of those anti-blanks. Actually, I did for like a day. The ex was fighting with me 3 years into the marriage. You need to go get this. You know what my doctor said? I think you just need sleep. So he gave me like that Celexa. I took it for a day, and I'm like, no, I'm done with this crap. And that's when I wised up at 25. Washington State, but lived all over the country. I've been in the state national politics. The honest, hardworking people are forced out. Could that be the truth right there? Absolutely. Washington State. You know, the cool thing about Washington, it has no income tax. That's it. Other than that, it's Skittles. No need for diabetic shocks, says Megatron. Mysterio says, John Boston, is your friend Slim? No. Well, yes, he is. He's a slim dude. Skinny guy. D. Swecker. There's a guy that's in France that downloaded all my videos, and we're going to get together today to repost them. No, I was in the process in April of moving all of my Rumble videos. They all said pending, and they still say pending. I don't even know if they can come over. But this one guy, Sac AB in France, said he downloaded all of them. He's going to send them over. So good. Gotcha. Man, could you imagine getting hit by a tire going 250 miles an hour or whatever, how fast they go? WHT folks, what's up to you, brother? Appreciate you here. He's about 6 foot 200, and when they walk side by side, they look like the number 18. Yes. John Boston, send a picture. It's all bullshit. Yeah, that was back at 25, Hammer, when I was trying to figure out and just trying to keep the peace. And then my physician gave me a 30 days of Ambien. That's what fixed it. But no, I never believed that shit, any of that. I just, some days, you know, back then we had a 1-year-old, and I just said, you know what? Sometimes I just had to do what was just to hold the peace, and I did it, and I quit taking them. And I'll never touch one of those mother effing things again. Biggest scam ever. It's all about how to dwarf the progress of humanity and to make men into doggone robots and slave drivers. I'm not even going to use that word. Dice Sweet Vidalia's grass-fed Angus, mashed potatoes and gravy tonight. Maybe some corn too. Not sure what's for dinner tonight. Rad. Check you, Hammer. Appreciate you being here. I had some salmon and some seaweed rice salmon wraps with some delicious broccoli, cheese, egg, and something else patties. Very delicious. So your firstborn girl locked you into marriage before you had time to get out. Well, I think that we wanted to have a family, and, you know, from there, you just try to do what you could do. When you have a wife that's sick for 5 months and is bitching and moaning and struggling, and you feel bad because she's scaring your child, you will do things to keep the peace. My Uncle Leo was blank at a wedding years ago in Chicago. He tried breaking up a fight. Dang. Was he your uncle that told you not to get married? I think, Hammer, I thought you were leaving. We do too much to keep the peace. Yes. Well said. That's what you do. I mean, you got a wife that's 6 months pregnant. She's been sick for 5 months. She sleeps on the couch. She's vomiting every day. She's tired. You can't deal with her. You don't want anything but peace. So you'll do things to keep the peace. You do things on the second kid. And then finally by the third kid, when the third kid's 4 or 5 years old and you realize that the nagging continues without any merit, then you start having issues. But you had issues before that. They just come and become more determined at that point. 18. What if those eggshells turn into landmines and the mess could get worse? Best to cut your losses. Well said. I'm going to cut this off in just a minute, guys, but it's been great to have everyone here. Years ago, when parents had 4 more kids, they figured it out. They didn't want drugs. Not good, guys. Best thing for anxiety, nature. Moving your body, hiking, walking, riding your bike, taking pictures of fast-moving race cars. Modern society think that pills solves all mental woes. It doesn't, makes it worse. I have firsthand experience with that. I have kids that have taken those. It rewires your brain into something that you become a nuts. Well, it does rewire your brain. That's all I'm going to say. Rad, you got shut down because you were having too much of the positive effect on men. Probably, D Swecker. I love that our conversations go all over the place. We're trying to keep it real. You know, every man has a voice. And that's how I try to run this place. There's guys that bring in lots of history. There's guys that bring in deep intellectual conversations. There's guys that bring in, a quick topic and want to reach out and hear what other guys are saying, and it's all good. There's times when I get really deep into this stuff, and there's times I just want to hear people shoot the shit. His brother. Gotcha. God. Crazy stuff. T-Tox is back. They are all based on their feelings, T-Tox. Reciprocity is a word they don't know. No. What they don't know is how to converse, how to have a conversation. Because if you don't go with their viewpoint, you are either one of three words: toxic, a hater, a fascist, or a bigot. 4 words. It's always hater. How come we cannot have our own opinions? Yeah. The best way I like to talk to, if I ever got in an argument with, well, not an argument, a discussion in San Francisco about 5 years ago. The Don had just won. This guy from Britain was this journalist for Gartner Group down in, Gartner is a international consortium of ideas, and they rate companies and so crap. All this crap. Anyhow, if you're a big tech company, you're in a Gartner quadrant. He wrote for him, and he was telling me how he voted for Bill Clinton's wife. And I just said, well, why? And he was going off on how the Orange Man was horrible and this and that. I said, well, can you tell me one thing that Bill Clinton's wife did, outside of Benghazi? And he got mad at me about saying that. And I said, just tell me one piece of legislation that was passed to improve, the good old nation. He couldn't come up with one thing. One thing. He goes, well, what has the Don done? He took 1 million and turned it into 140 billion or 14 billion. He took 1 million from his dad, or 10, I don't know how much. But he turned it into a shit ton of money. That's what he did. So anyhow, if you're dealing with them, here's what I like to say. If you're dealing with a womanist, ask her to pick you up and walk 20 feet. If there's a burning fire, I want to make sure that she can pick me up and walk me. And 99.9% cannot do that. There's probably 1% that can. A 0.1% that can. They're probably at the gym taking trainer gear. And the second thing I like to say is, you know what, I've got this question for you, liberal person. And here's the question. You know how we're supposed to be on this, get away from fossil fuels and drive electric carts and all that stuff? How come, I'm just curious, how come the administration doesn't have electric vehicles? Like the limousines run on fossil fuels, and the helicopters, and then he's going to Arabia to beg for more production of more fossil fuels, but it's a 5,000-mile plane flight, and it seems like a big carbon footprint just to beg someone for a minute. Don't you think that's a little, can you help me understand why that happens? Oh, and that cold piece of metal that we all grew up to go out looking for food from four-legged creatures, as we were young with our fathers. How come, and they don't want those anymore, and they're not good, and they're bad, and they want to take away that amendment? How come he has, why does he have those in his administration protecting him? I don't know. I would think that they could use their hands or something and defend him that way, or keep him out. I don't understand. And then finally, it's how come he doesn't have any? How come all of his protection is based on one set of chromosomes and not another set of chromosomes? How come there are no ladies protecting him in his motorcades? See what they say. But I thought we were all EQUAL. See, you cannot bring your conversation points, what you know as a conservapop person, into the conversation. You have to ask questions that'll stump them. But in the end, you'll be considered a hater. But that's how I do it. Slam Cave accountability is not their strong suit. No, that sounds very familiar with the marriage I came out of. These blank are infected with mass formation psychosis. DTS, blank blank syndrome. Rolly from, I haven't seen him for a while, Juara. I don't know. SCE endeavors, electric vehicles are a blank. The only electric vehicles that I think that are worth their weight in gold are golf carts for 300 Trebek. They've been around for 40, 50 years, 60 years. That's it. If you see a car driving, it's more of a toy. And who can afford them? For $67,000, the base Model 3, you could get a damn good pickup truck. And you can drive that thing across country because every 50 miles, there's a gas station. The 300-pounder voted for Bill's wife, and last election, she voted for the Don. To me, she's a womanist in disguise. The researchers in Antarctica wrote a huge report and sent it to 500 different newspapers and journals to state there is no problem with blank, and they never released the report. Well, it's agenda. It's all agenda. It's all agenda. What was I going to say? Guys, take care of yourself. Do the things that you need to do. Share your experiences with others. Reach out to your brothers in need. Leave comments on videos. I see a lot of comments on a lot of different videos and channels, and people are reaching out and reaching into people. Every one of us has some sort of email that you can reach out to. A lot of us will respond to comments, chats, you name it. So there's a place that we can all go. Let's see what we got here. Jet Electro, I will drive an electric car when blank and blank and blank are wrong about that. That's what I'm saying. Set the example for the rest of us. Festivus for the rest of us. Golf carts with Caterpillar batteries in them are mad fun. You know, it's interesting. I saw a Tesla in Cabo, San Lucas, and I'm like, how did it get down there? I probably drove it down on a flatbed, but there are no stations. I think there's one station or two stations. And the electrical grid in Mexico is not very reliable. The electricity goes out all the time in Central and South America, guys. Thanks, SE. Appreciate you. Good night to everybody. Glad you're all here participating. Do you have any female friends around? Of course. Of course. Are they friends? They're people that I talk to. But again, you can manage yourself with female friends. People say female friends, you cannot have female friends because there's always going to be some intimate, someone's going to want the other. Possibly. But I interact with females all the day. Coworkers, neighbors, it's my sisters, my mother, my daughter, my ex, past friends. So people say not, and there's some guys that don't want that. So it is what it is. You guys remember, chase excellence, masculinity, and men first. I'm out.